Hey, what's up Sega fans? Dan, the Mega Driver of the Sega Guys here with a very quick video on an interesting Sega related update. Yesterday at the time of recording, Capcom announced Capcom Fighting Collection 2, a collection of 8 fighting games that had not seen a release on a home console in over 20 years, or in the case of Power Stone, 18 years if you include portable consoles. This means that a number of games that were once best played or exclusive to the Sega Dreamcast will now be available for a new generation of gamers to enjoy when this collection lands in 2025, which is fantastic news. Well, the timing of the news could be better with a certain Sega channel, given how videos overlapping its announcement proclaimed some games to be exclusive or best played on the Dreamcast, but hey, the Sega guys are happy to take one for the team in favour of the greater good. So, aside from bringing a bunch of games that originated on Dreamcast hardware into a collection, why is this collection worth talking about on a Sega themed channel? Hopefully it's well known by now that these games are beloved here at the Sega guys, by myself especially. But the thing is, it's not so much about the games themselves, but what this collection represents. Now, there is one exception to this discussion, so straight away we're not going to be talking about the System 246 arcade board based Capcom Fighting Jam.
Sounds like some kind of marmalade.
Because that game ran on what is the equivalent of PlayStation 2 hardware. That aside, the remaining titles all have something in common. They are all Naomi based arcade games. This means that they are from hardware that was basically identical to that of the Sega Dreamcast. Now, a few of these games actually ran on Naomi GD ROM boards, making them as close to an arcade version of the Dreamcast as you can get. This makes the collection essentially a Capcom Dreamcast fighting game collection. Again, forget about Fighting Jam or Capcom Fighting Evolution, whatever it's called, since it's not Dreamcast based and it's pretty garbage anyway. What is intriguing about this development is that this is the first Dreamcast based compilation we have had since, well, the Dreamcast compilation that launched with the PS3 and Xbox 360. And even that wasn't a compilation of emulated Dreamcast games, but a selection of ports with, shall we say, mixed quality. Even the Power Stone collection on PSP was essentially a port rather than emulation. So the big news here is with all these games and presumably the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in the Marvel vs. Capcom Arcade Classics collection that was also announced recently, is that Capcom seemed to have successfully created some sort of Naomi emulator for modern systems. This is exciting because, in theory, it opens a number of doors. We've already seen 2 compilations that are those in question, but surely the door is open for more, much more, especially games that are non-fighting game specific. We could have ports of Cannon Spike, Gun Survivor, Heavy Metal Geomatrix and Spawn in the Demon's Hand on modern systems. And that's just Naomi. Surely Dreamcast ports are a possibility now, so why not a Dreamcast Resident Evil collection, given how many of those Resident Evil games at the time were best played and maybe still are best on the Sega Dreamcast. Whilst on the same theme, you could have the Dreamcast version of Dino Crisis as well. There's also games like the Dreamcast versions of Techromancer or Gigawing. And then, what about Sega? If Capcom have achieved it, surely Sega can too. Not every Naomi game came home to consoles, and it would be ace to play games like Jambo Safari, Wave Runner GP and Asian Dynamite on modern consoles. And hey, why stop at Naomi and Dreamcast? Naomi 2 is essentially just a supersized Naomi board, and most emulators, like Null DC for example, run Naomi 2 and even Hikaru games. So surely, we can dream of an arcade perfect port or emulation of Virtua Fighter 4 and maybe some other Naomi 2 games as well. And maybe even Hikari games like Planet Harriers. This is all just conjecture, dreaming and basically just wishful thinking on my part, but I really think this development is definitely significant. If nothing else, the excitement around these collections demonstrates why the Dreamcast itself is so beloved by those of us who got to experience it in its heyday. These titles were instant classics on the console, and while they never sold in the numbers that would make them mega hits, they left a prolonged impression upon those of us who got to enjoy them. I really hope that this leads to another surge of Sega Dreamcast and Naomi related content on modern platforms. And please Sega, don't just consign any games from that era to Like a Dragon bonus content, give us proper releases and full compilations. Anyway, what do you guys think? Am I getting carried away with this, or is there genuinely something in this development? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and if you've enjoyed the video, give us a like and subscribe. But until next time, this has been Dan the Mega Driver of the Sega Guys, and we will see you on the Sega side.